Dude, I'm gonna get my boy in trouble.
And we start. Yeah, let's cut all that.
my
Welcome
God.
back to the podcast. First New York City episode. Super exciting. I feel like I'm in a different world right now, and we're actually doing a solo episode tomorrow because I'm gonna start bringing those back on some. I've been listening to Call Her Daddy a lot, and I feel like she's inspired a lot of the things that I want to start doing in my podcast. But nonetheless, I'm not alone today. I have a very special guest, a very close friend of mine who over the past year, we've gotten a little bit closer and you know, we're doing business together and we're doing a lot of fun things. But I have my good friend Sidon Farris in the building.
My God, thank you so much
What's
for
up,
having
brother?
me.
How are you?
I'm excited for us to do this.
Me too.
I felt like we just did it a little bit.
Yeah. I try not to talk to my guests before we start.
Yeah.
Oh.
Sorry, but I had a feeling.
No, you're
Yeah,
good.
I'm one of those guys.
I try. It's funny though, because you've been in the studio, so you should technically know how to.
I know. Dude, it's been a while. I'm rusty.
It's all good.
Yeah.
This is your first podcast.
This is my first podcast.
That's crazy.
Not first time on the mic.
On the mic. Yeah. Well, we'll get into the music stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're in New York City. I'm used to seeing you in West Hollywood.
Yes.
So it's kind of trippy coming
Yep.
from West Hollywood Equinox now sitting on Canal Street and
It's a different
Soho.
vibe. Like,
yeah.
just to expand on that, big Equinox guy right here.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say you are?
Both of us.
I saw our boy. We're not going to air him out. But I saw our mutual friend. He's more of your friend.
Yeah.
I saw him airing out the Equinox.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Hatef Tavakoli.
Oh, wow. Okay, we dove into it.
I
That's
saw
fun.
that. I saw that.
Yeah,
People roast Equinox a lot.
they do, but I love Equinox.
I don't get it.
Big Equinox guy. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, so much of where I live is centered around
Mm.
my gym. And I know you can't tell, I'm still working on my 4-pack. No, seriously. But I'm working on my 4-pack. But it's like when I got the spot close to West Hollywood,
Yeah.
it was because I liked the community at that gym. And what I was going to say, being at this one in Hudson Yard in New York, you see the little difference of LA and New York. LA, everyone's chopping it up out. It's like no one works.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I like that too. I
Yeah.
like because they're still killing it, right? It's
Yeah.
not like the people in there are losers without job. Not saying that, whatever. The ones in New York, you go in the lobby,
Just type it.
dialed.
Yeah.
And I like that. Like I'm hearing people next to me like yelling at other people on the phone, and they're like in, finance, and
Yeah.
I like the energy.
The hustle energy is different out here, bro. And I think you and I are on the kind of a similar boat right now. We're about the same age. You're
Mhm.
28, right?
I'm 28, yeah.
Yeah, I'm 28. And I think we've both spent at least the majority of our 20s in LA, I
Yeah.
believe. But now I think both of us are starting to be like there's more
Yeah.
to the world than just sitting at the Equinox West Hollywood, like
Yes.
on our phones. And what is it about New York? Like besides the hustle energy, like why are you attracted to New York? And do you see yourself moving out here pretty soon?
Yeah, 100%. So I'll give pros and cons. I'm from the East Coast, but I'm from you can't even call it a diet version of New York. I'm from DC.
Yeah.
No shade to DC, just in my business and where I wanted my career, DC is not the absolute best place, right? It's like known for politics. So I moved to LA at 22. But to answer your question, what I like about LA and then what I like about New York, LA, it's easy to get caught in a bubble, right? So like West Hollywood is where all the meetings go down, right? And it's also spread out. Like you think about it, like when we went and played volleyball
Yeah.
that Saturday morning, that was like a mission. Like we had to plan, like, let's go play volleyball. In New York, just today alone, I viewed 2 apartments. One, we're in Canal Street now. I was in Hudson Yard. I'm staying in Brooklyn right now. And you're walking so much and like entering these little different worlds. And I'll describe what really helped kind of sell me on it is that people think New York people are cold. But I've been talking to people that have lived here the last 5-10 years, and they're like, it's changed so much. My experience is that people in LA are colder. And I hate being that person that's like, people in LA are fake. I've had incredible experiences in LA, incredible friendships. We became friends. You're from
Yeah.
LA. Like, I'm not like LA people are weird. I never think like that. But I think it can be a little bit more clicked up in LA, I think.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more like high school-ish. And
Mm.
anyways, I was bouncing around here with my boy and met some people. They're like, hey, let's go to this spot for brunch. And they actually do it, and
Yeah.
it's like, hey, want to come sit outside and eat with me? And I feel like, especially in this area that we're in right now,
Mm.
it's giving Europe vibes, you know?
Yeah.
And, I don't know, I want a change of pace. I'm someone who, if I start feeling suffocated or I'm caught in a bubble, I'm very impulsive. So I was like, "Hey, I'm feeling that in LA. I'm gonna go to New York for a month. I'm gonna go to Miami for a month after." Me personally, I wouldn't live in Miami just career-wise, but I came and I started apartment shopping a week into being out here.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, yeah, I could see myself and I'm gonna get a spot out here.
That's amazing, bro.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful here because I feel like you could get so much done in one day. Like you wake
Mhm.
up at 6 and by the time it's like 6 o'clock, like you probably walked like 30,000 steps, which that's the one thing in LA. Like we don't really walk that
At
much.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not good for our health.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Agreed.
Yeah. So we get so much more done out here. And I agree with you, bro. Like the energy is just, it's different. Like you see so many different types of people.
Mhm.
And I feel like there's less ego. Like even though people aren't really looking
Agreed.
at you and talking to you, it's just because they're busy. It's not because
Mhm.
they want to be a celebrity. Like in LA, it's like everyone kind of wants to be somebody or they think
Yep.
they're somebody or whatever. Um, so it's cool that you're gonna potentially make the move, and I honestly might be there with you.
Yeah.
But I want to you mentioned DC. I want to hear more about like your upbringing.
Yeah.
Like how did you start in life?
Yeah.
Like what was that initial like story?
So I'm half Indian, half Lebanese,
Mm,
right? I was raised by my Indian side, so my mom. This is gonna be interesting. I never really, well, I tell people this. I've never really like put it out there, but I don't have the traditional Indian upbringing, right? Of like you should be a doctor, you should be a lawyer. And we talk about this a little bit. I remember being like, what do your parents think about your tattoos?
yeah,
Right? Like how many people in your family have tattoos? Just that alone,
zero.
right?
Yeah.
And imagine not going to college. I know you went to college,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Where'd you go?
USC.
Okay, nice. So at least you made him proud in
Yeah,
that
we did that.
aspect.
Even though I cheated my whole way through it, but we still did it.
Fair, you're here now.
Yep. Never got caught.
Yeah. But my mom wasn't traditional in the sense of when I'm 10 years old, it was go look in the mirror and tell yourself you love yourself 11 times. Go tell yourself you're going to achieve whatever you want. What do you want to achieve at 9, 10 years old? So the things that we see on social media now, which are all very positive things,
Yeah.
or, when I remember I had so much of that growing up, that self love and all of those things, right? Like if you want to be a billionaire side, tell yourself it 11 times when you wake up in the morning, right?
Mm,
Um, that I remember being 18, 19, 20, and being like, that stuff is weird. Because it was like when people are raised on organized religion and they push away from it, that's how I felt. But then when I ventured off in the world by myself
yeah.
at around 18, whatever, 18, at around 22, 23, being in LA, really being myself for years, I was like, wow, my mom was so right. And so she was also untraditional in the sense of she was a drummer in a punk band,
Oh, wow.
opened up for like Smashing Pumpkins.
I did not know
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
That's
She was
crazy.
a beast. Had like a deal offer from Interscope real early on. And like typical band story, I think the bass guitarist got like addicted to heroin, a little bit dark.
Yeah.
But yeah, like he's fine, I think. But
Thank God, hopefully.
yeah, she got pregnant with me.
Yeah.
And
With that guy?
no, 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 no.
Oh, got it. Okay.
So yeah, that and my mom is an entrepreneur, right? So I was
Mm,
raised on that, being with 2 strong females, not just my mom, but my aunt also helped raise me,
yeah.
and she's also a very strong entrepreneur, but, just small things that I realized what my mom did that helped me so much in life, just navigating the world, like, look the waiter in their eyes. If I'd be like, "Okay," like, if I'm looking at a menu as a child, like
Yeah.
5, 6, like, "No, Sidon, look him in the eyes and say thank you."
Mm,
Right? Like,
yeah. The
and
little things
the
for
little
sure.
things that go a long way, and, just, like, real big I'm an only child, so it's like, you gotta be good with communication and your communication skills.
Mm,
And my mom, having a single mom, she's my best friend. So we're traveling together, right? Like, growing up, with
yeah.
literally, you know, my right hand. So, I grew up in Centerville, Virginia, which is, like, a suburb outside of DC. At 16, me and my mom moved in with my aunt in DC, and it was total culture shock, right? Like I went from being in the suburbs, which you know what that's like, very, different culture. You have Korean people, Indian people all over,
Mhm.
Arab people, whatever it is. And I went to high school in DC and it's just a public school. And DC is still a little bit rough, right? And that taught me so much. Being 16, the high school I went to, you had to walk through a metal detector.
No
Yeah, it's a
shit.
little bit different, right? Yeah, it's
Damn.
tough
Like every day you got to
every
school?
single day. Yeah,
Wow.
every single day. So,
Were people just bringing guns and knives and like all
yes,
types of shit?
yeah, it was a tough
Mm.
school in Columbia Heights in DC. It's maybe it's better now. I have no idea. It was rough, but like there's different sides where it's like in the suburbs, if you do drugs in high school, that's cool. It's like
Yeah,
euphoria. That's what my high school was like. No, seriously.
that's crazy.
And DC, it's like they don't do hard drugs.
Yeah.
So it's different kinds of bad, right?
Right, right, right.
And what that taught me is being able to blend in different settings,
Mm,
right? And which I think is helpful when you can walk in the room and
yeah.
you know.
Did you ever have, since you were surrounded by a lot of that, like, it sounds like it was a pretty rough environment to some degree.
Um it transfers. So
Yeah.
I had moments of real like my mom was a successful entrepreneur,
Yeah.
real estate market crash, lost everything, then it got a little bit tough.
Got
So it's both. I saw both sides to it. But one thing that also I think about all the time is that my mom raised me with um like that self-love, like not having even when she didn't have a lot,
mm,
not having a mindset geared towards not having a lot, if that makes
yeah.
sense, right?
Uh,
Still in an abundant mindset.
got it.
Yeah.
I love that. Did you ever fall into sort of the negative crowd of where you were at, like drugs and alcohol and like gangs? Like, did you ever kind of get into that side of the world?
No, not
No.
like I was always the kid that hung out with the really I was bad to myself. I was never bad to other people.
Got it.
So if when you're out, oh, let's go break a car window. Like you're just bad, right? And it's
Yeah.
like I was like, no, I was the person to talk the group out of not doing it,
Mm,
right? Or I remember meeting a new group of friends in DC, like my first week in school.
yeah.
It's literally like a movie. It's like, okay, you want to like blend in and show you're cool, but like, and oh, these are my new group of friends, and they're
Yeah.
like the popular bad kids in my DC school. And I remember them seeing someone like, let's rob him. And I convinced the group, like, don't do that to somebody.
So you were the good kid in the
I was
group.
the good kid in the bad settings.
Got
I
it.
was always like that. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's so interesting to me that your mom was an entrepreneur and in music,
Yeah.
and now, 28 years later, you're kind of in
Yeah.
a similar boat.
Yeah.
So it sounds like your mom had a really big impact on just your entire life growing up.
Yep.
Like, and if you didn't mind me asking, was your father around in the
No.
picture?
So
Okay.
my dad, like on and off. So that's another thing. Like
Mm,
my dad, and I learned different angles from that of my dad is a weird scenario where my dad's father, my grandpa, was a real successful businessman in Lebanon.
mm,
And so I like would learn lessons through my dad. And my dad had the college background. My mom didn't. My dad went to Duke and Georgetown, real smart guy. And like in and out my life basically. Like 3 through 7, I'd see him on the weekends. They got divorced when I was 3.
yeah.
And then it just like slowly dwindles and then oh, that sounds dark. But I remember being a kid and being like, I'm so happy I'm just raised by my mom.
Yeah.
Like when people think that like I would not be where I am, and not tooting my own horn, but I would not be as happy
Yeah.
with because I think that's to each scenario, right? Like where it's like, oh, you had it tough because you have a single parent. It's tough on my mom.
Yeah.
It wasn't tough on me. I liked it.
Yeah.
My mom gave me more freedom. Like that's another thing where my mom would I would go take the metro from Centerville, Virginia, the suburbs. Early on, 10, 11 years old, I grew up skateboarding. My mom would send me on the metro
Yeah.
by myself, which is like it's not as crazy as taking the subway here, but imagine a 10-year-old like,
Sketchy.
yeah,
Yeah.
in the subways in DC. She's like, you'll figure it out. Go skateboard with your friends. And I had that independence very early on where I see with people, you know, they never leave their comfort zone. I'm so quick to do it.
Yeah.
Like moving to LA was nothing to me. And I went there by myself and didn't know a single person there.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that was from her.
Yeah. It sounds like your mom did a really good job at instilling confidence and like raising you as almost like a friend as opposed to like a
Mhm.
parent. Well, but I assume there was still a level of respect to where you were like, this is my mother, like, despite us being friends.
Of
Like,
course. You're
yeah.
you're smart because I didn't really but you're right. You're
Yeah.
right. Like, my mom would let me skip school and hang out with her. No, seriously,
That's
yeah,
dope.
yeah, yeah. So she was and is
Yeah.
my right hand, and, but yeah, of course, that level like, yeah, I would act up. I'm an only child,
Yeah.
and you get close and you say something, and my mom would, you know, whip me into
Whip
shape.
you?
Not actually whip me, but,
Okay.
like, she
Hypothetically.
definitely, like, give it to me where would get scared,
Yeah.
you know?
You have to as a parent.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You gotta set your kids straight sometimes.
Yeah.
Did she value education? Like, did you go to college?
I went to college and I dropped out twice.
Got it.
Sorry about that. I went to college, I dropped out twice. She did because when I remember being 5 years old, sitting in the chair, and she'd say, "My little CEO," which that came true.
Let's go.
"I know you're gonna go to London School of Economics." Like, that was a big thing.
Damn.
I only really probably know what that is because my mom would press that on me as a 4 or 5-year-old.
Yeah.
But, no, she definitely instilled, like, the entrepreneurial spirit. I'll tell another quick story that I set up a lemonade stand with the kids in the neighborhood,
Yeah.
and it was 2 other kids. And, my mom would fund it, like, I put up the capital. If my mom's putting up the capital, it's me putting up the
Yeah.
capital, getting all the lemonade ingredients, the sugar, whatever it is, and I kept most of the profits. Like, I had 2 other people working for me, basically.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant you were stealing the profits from
This
your
is
partners. I
capitalism
was
at
like,
its finest.
yeah.
So listen, I kept a lot of the profits, I guess. I was like 5.
Mm.
Go in the house, the parents come knocking on my mom's door. This is how it goes down in the suburbs. The parents beef over dumb stuff. And the parents came and they're like, "Hey, your son did a lemonade stand with my 2 kids. We want our piece of the pie."
How much lemonade were you selling to where they had to like come get
We
the?
probably came up 20 bucks.
Oh, that's a lot.
And at the
Hey.
time, and my mom's excited, "How much money was it?" And I told her, and she's like, "Well, why didn't you split it equally?" And I was like, "Well, they didn't do as much work as I did."
Mm.
You know?
Smart kid.
Yeah, and, my mom pulled me aside and was like, "You're right, but give it to them."
Yeah.
Right? And sometimes that's in business even now, where
Mm-hmm.
even when I feel like, you know, it could be with employees, other people you do business with, whatever it is, I'm not huge on rewarding bad behavior, but also, or lazy, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
But, also there's some times where I bite my tongue and being the bigger person, right? And I just said this, in an article actually, is you people are quick to take the deal when it's in front of them, right? They'll say
Yeah.
whatever to get it across the finish line. But how do they act when the cards aren't in their favor, right? When problems come up.
Mm.
You see so many people in whether it's the agency space, especially in entertainment,
Yeah.
right? Where issues come up and then they're not there to address the client the same way that they were to get the deal across, right? And it's just common business practices where it's like, hey, and I say that to say, like, we've had to deal with huge refunds, whatever it is, so quickly in the blink of an eye. Like,
Yeah.
do I love doing that? No. Do
Sending
you?
money back is not fun, but sometimes you have to do it.
No, of course you do, right?
Yeah.
It's like being fair across the board and being ethical at the highest level possible. Look at Jeff Bezos and look at Amazon, how quickly they refund people that probably get the product,
Yeah.
right? So
For
that's
sure.
what I mean by even, when you didn't do anything wrong or
For
the
sure.
agency or you still
You got to
gotta
bite the bullet sometimes to save your reputation. And I think a
exactly.
lot of people don't understand how important reputation is, especially in our industry, which we'll get into.
Hmm.
But before we get there,
Yeah.
I want to talk about who you were before you became Sidon Farris at
Hmm.
C4N2 Agency. You were Notice,
Yeah.
which is your name spelled backwards.
Yeah.
So, how did you start in music? Like, what was that original sort of like exposure to music? Like, did you listen to music with your family growing up? Like, how did you get started in that space?
Yeah. I remember I just wrote my name backwards one day. I remember I was hanging out and I was like, I like that. And I was in 6th grade when I did that. In 7th grade, I would hang out with my friends and we'd smoke weed and start freestyling. You know how it is.
Yeah.
Like, come on. And being where I'm from, it wasn't cool to make music. God, now I sound old. I'm 28. I am old actually.
You're not old.
That it's not cool to make music 15 years ago in the suburbs.
Mm,
This is like before Mac Miller popped off. So this is like Drake
dang.
Best I Ever Had era, like LimeWire.
Oh, wow.
I'm finding Lil Wayne beats to freestyle on, recording in microphone, doing all of that. And then I think 8th grade or 9th grade, I took it like a little bit serious. I like shot a music video, and then in my high school, that's like crazy. Like,
Mm,
and you're getting made fun of. It's like, dude, you're a rapper from the suburbs, which is like, I
yeah,
wasn't like talking like a gangster. I was like
yeah.
suburban pop rap.
Got
That's
it.
why it's not. It doesn't sound that cool.
Yeah.
And and anyways, I was doing that, and it just progressed. There's this guy named Henny who's still pretty big in music. He managed Gold Link and Smino and
Mhm.
Masego. And it's funny. I got looped in with him a few years later, but like 10 years later. But he had a studio in Virginia, and there was like a few studios only, and I would go over there, and I just started releasing music videos. And it's actually funny. The song I released in ninth grade, I redistributed it so you can do that on streaming platforms. I redistributed it where it said a later date, like 2018,
Got it.
2019. That song popped off. It got like a million streams on
Which record was that?
Long Day.
Got it, okay.
So it got like a million streams on SoundCloud.
Yeah.
That's a big deal at the time.
It's a lot of streams.
This is years ago. This is like 2017 SoundCloud era, right?
Crazy.
And a million streams on SoundCloud, and that gave me the confidence to move out to LA. So what I started doing is DMing music executives.
Mm,
It's so funny. It comes full circle because so many of them I work with now. But I DM'd a ton of music executives. I It's actually so crazy. I was DMing him today. This guy Garrett Ream at Republic Records
mm.
was like, "Hey, you're fire," and I'm like, "Wow, a guy at Republic Records, who they have Post Malone, Ariana Grande, they're like
Yeah.
arguably top 3 biggest labels, is like just gave me enough confidence to like get up and go." He didn't even live in LA. He lived in Boston or New York. I go out to LA for a month. He was so kind. He took a meeting with me and I didn't sign some big record deal with him, but he gave me that confidence. And
Yeah.
what he told me is you should get a publishing deal.
Mm,
And there's different sections, right? You can get a distribution deal, you can get a publishing deal, you can get a record deal.
yeah.
Um, and he's like, you should get a publishing deal because it'll give you the funds to push your own music. And I was like, okay, cool. I didn't know what that was at the time. So I started DMing more music executives. I was DMing people in DC, so I would skip partying,
Mm,
DM a bunch of these music executives. There was no like lead generation that we talk about. Remember the other day on the phone
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that you could find
Yeah.
for the music industry.
Mm.
You have to go through Instagram and see who knows who and where the mutual followers. I was DMing everyone from the security guard,
Wow.
brother of G Easy or whoever it was, all the way up to G Easy's manager. Let's say I'm just throwing out that name.
Yeah.
Any manager I could find. And I started being able to understand what people did at where. You see people's bios in the music industry. It's like SVP of Atlantic Records, you know, vice president of brand partnerships here. And it's like, these different levels
Mhm.
and then it's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
president, right? And
Yeah.
I DM, and this was the lady that really changed everything for me. Her name is Tiffany Kumar. She created Secret Genius at Spotify
Oh,
with
wow.
Troy Carter, who's
Yeah,
Lady
yeah.
Gaga's manager.
Legend.
The Tiffany worked for Kanye West, Chris Lighty, like mega killer in the music industry. I just could tell. I remember like seeing her have so many mutuals with all the other people. That was enough to be like, oh, I should DM this lady.
Right.
I DM her, no response. She starts a new management company that has 100 followers. I
Mm.
find it, DM the
DM that
100
one.
followers.
Smart.
Her assistant shows it to her, and it's so funny. All of these people I'm still good friends with. She's doing a writing camp in Miami
Yeah.
with this guy Gino the Ghost, who I don't know if you know him.
Mm.
He has a podcast. He's killing it. Still real dope guy. I run into
Yeah.
him here and there. Really cool dude. And this guy Avedon and Diesel. I'm still, cool with all these guys. I was just talking to Avedon. She's like, "Hey, what do you think of this kid?" She's an Indian lady. Remember, I'm a
Yeah,
half
yeah.
Indian, half Lebanese
Kumar.
artist.
It's a
Yep,
very Indian last name.
exactly. Shows them my music, and they all give me the green light. So
Crazy.
thank God for those guys,
Yeah.
and thank God for Tiffany Kumar.
When
So
you say they gave you the green light, did they like give you a deal to sign, or was it more like you got their stamp of approval
I
to
got
like
their stamp of approval. She
okay.
took a meeting with me at Soho House, West Hollywood, and I didn't know what that was at the
Yeah.
time. And I remember telling my aunt and mom, like, I just went to Soho House.
Yeah. It's like the
And
coolest spot. Now we go there every day and it's we're getting
exactly,
sick of it.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I take a meeting with her there. She's like, come over to my apartment 3 days later. Let's plot on a rollout for you. I'm like, oh, this is like
Yeah.
each moment, those first few moments, they felt so big.
Mm,
And 3 months later, I signed a publishing deal with Pulse through her. So she had a she left Spotify, did her own thing,
mm,
and had a joint venture with Pulse, which has like Rich the Kid, Kehlani, Ty
yeah,
Dolla Sign, a bunch of hard hitters. And that gave me enough money to make me last over for 2 years.
yeah.
And we just plotted on my releases. But what I didn't realize is that being around her so much, because we became best friends, being with her so much, I started gaining more. I gravitated more to the business side of things
Mm,
than to being an artist.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting because you transitioned from musician to entrepreneur,
Mhm.
but it sounds like you kind of showed entrepreneurial um like not tactics, qualities
Mhm.
while you were doing music. You were DMing
Yep.
these people, you were strategically finding people to talk to. Like that's things that entrepreneurs do.
Mhm.
So as you're in the studio, making music, because we know like when you're in the studio now, it's like fuck, I could be doing business. Like it feels like a
Yeah.
waste of time almost.
Mhm.
Um, but like as you're making music, like did you know you were an entrepreneur? Was it more like you found out over time, like, hey, I have what it takes to also run business
Yeah.
besides just create
I
music?
think pure survival
Mm,
gave me that.
yeah.
That instinct that was in there, but when you have to do it, you have no
Mm,
other choice.
yeah.
Because I didn't explain this, that with Tiffany, I'm 21, 22 years old. I'm just moving to LA. I'm drinking 3 times a week. I'm going
Yeah.
out to all these industry events,
Yeah.
and I forgot to mention this. I moved to LA and lived with 3 people in a studio apartment the size of this. Literally, there's no kitchen in it. So it's
Oh
called a
shit.
bachelor studio. It's $900 a month in LA, Koreatown.
Wow.
That's you can't even find that anymore. This is literally you can't see the room, but you get how
Tiny.
small it is.
Yeah.
The guy sleeping with me, sorry to air out, I'm not here to fat shame. The big dude.
Fat guy.
Dude, 300 pounds. I
Yeah.
shared the bed with him. He's my best friend.
No
So I'm
way.
big on that too. It's like this dude, when I was back in Northern Virginia, like there's times I didn't have it figured out. I worked at AT&T. That was
Yeah.
my only real job before this, right? And in all honesty, I'm bouncing around a little bit. AT&T has the best sales program on earth. Seriously, I sound a big proponent of
You
them.
getting a commission on this
Yeah,
or what?
no, seriously. But anyways, he helped me out a lot in
Yeah.
Virginia. So when he needed help in LA, I was like, okay, you can come stay with me. My other friend, he didn't need as much help. He's just like,
Mm,
hey, dude, my sister kicked me out. Can I stay here for a week? That turns into a year. It's 3 of us in a studio apartment. Then 2 more people come move in. We do 5 people in a 1 bedroom.
stop.
$300 each in rent. So I'm doing this for 2 years ish while going to, you might know this, G-Eazy's Malibu party
Yeah, of
for 4th
course.
of July. And I'm going with Tiffany to Ty Dolla Sign's house after,
Yeah.
and I'm feeling like the man, even though I'm not the man
Yeah, yeah,
at
yeah.
the time.
That's crazy.
And going back to 5 people, and I'm like, "You peasants, don't touch me." And, so it's interesting that wasn't the survival because that Pulse deal put money in my bank account,
Yeah.
where it's like I was being smart. I was saving money on rent, putting everything into music, and then 2 years later, it runs out, and I didn't have money anymore, right? So
Yeah.
it forces your hand, and I just naturally thought, you know, "What can I do that I pay for myself?"
Mm,
If I bought it, maybe I can help somebody else. And I started off obviously as a one-man band. And that I'm saying all that to say that that's what sparked it. That's
yeah.
what really, really, you know, kicked it off.
Yeah.
Even if I had it in me. So with Tiffany, I had that entrepreneurial spirit, little tidbits, but I'm going to sleep at 3 and waking up at 11 a.m. I wasn't working that hard being an artist,
Right. Right.
right?
Yeah. And then okay, so you go through all this stuff. I mean, you're partying with Ty Dolla Sign, with G-Eazy,
Mhm.
you just got this advance from your publishing
Mhm.
company. And then it runs out and you're
Yeah.
like, okay, I got to start doing business now because you realized you were good at it and you
Yeah.
saw what can be done in business. So
Mhm.
is that when you started C4N2?
Yes, but it didn't have a name. I'm just like,
Okay.
I paid for stuff, different marketing services, whatever it is that I used to help on my career,
Yeah.
different strategies. And I like once I got my first client, it was just like off to the races. And it's funny because the main guy at my company,
Yeah.
um, he was a waiter at the time, and he was one of my first clients.
Oh, is this Jay?
Yeah,
Got it.
and he is now my right hand basically,
Yeah, he's
and
killing it.
he's absolutely crushing it. And I brag about him way. I don't even want to talk about myself. Like
Yeah.
brag about that guy all day. And he was one of my first clients, right? And
Mhm.
so on and so forth. But I would say it was really like that's when the idea came about, and we started
Yeah.
making little bits of money, enough for me to get by. Then a year later, you start learning different things. Oh, you need a website. Oh, you need
Yeah.
to invoice people. I'm just like, cash at me.
Yeah.
And bad for taxes. But
Don't do it.
yeah. And yeah, I would say a year later, I started getting things in order, and I'm still learning every single day, and that's the fun part of the game, as you know.
Yeah.
You know.
It's such a beautiful thing, man, because it sounds like your story was very similar to mine, where it was just like very grassroots, like bootstrapped,
Mhm.
how to draft an invoice, how to email, like how do you set up an email,
Mhm.
GoDaddy. Like these are the things that I think, well, we're gonna look back on one day and be like, damn, like
Yeah.
that was the fun part,
You know what crazy thing is, and I don't say this to a lot of people, and it's not because 'cause we're both brown. It's the fact.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, no, genuinely, I think we're very, very similar. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I really do think that, and of course, we're very different in a lot of ways, but
Mm.
when after you build it up a little bit or whatever, did you forget that people deal with the same BS that you dealt with, the GoDaddy issues
Yeah.
and staying on the phone with customer service
Still
for
do it to this day.
for 6 hours?
45 minutes on wait
Yeah,
time.
it's
Crazy.
crazy. But, even how we met and seeing your journey, you gotta think we met through music.
Yeah.
It's
Crazy.
crazy how we met.
Weird.
You managing producers?
Yeah. I remember, dude. Yeah, I was in the studio. I was managing artists. I was
Yeah.
managing this guy Yizzo, and I was going to the studio, and I was like, "This is cool. Like, this
Mhm,
is a vibe," but I couldn't rap. Um, and then one day I got in the booth and I started just doing it. But
mhm,
I'm on the same wave as you. I think music is cool and it's a great hobby and it's
mhm.
creative and it's fun. And I see it as therapy, really.
Yeah.
Like instead of talking to a therapist, I just go in the booth and all my feelings come out. But business is where it's like it's truly exciting, bro. The
Mhm,
things that you can do sitting across from someone, at a
mhm,
dinner or on a golf course, like just the possibilities are endless. And
mhm.
I think as you get older, like you realize, like for me, money and fame
Mhm.
growing up was what was like super
Yeah.
interesting. I was like, I want to be famous. Like I want
Mhm.
people to know who I am.
Yep.
And then I got like a tiny taste of that, like 0.05% of that when I went on Fuckboy Island, where
Mhm.
people started realizing, like, oh, you're Divij, like from
Yep.
F Boy. And I was like, oh, this is stupid. I'd rather be rich as
Mhm.
fuck.
Yeah.
And so that's when I started focusing more on business.
Well, you know what? You can never judge people because
Yeah.
full transparency, I'm with, um, my girlfriend and her friend earlier,
Yeah.
right? And I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to go meet a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
We do a ton of business. He's my guy." She's like, "Tell me more about him." I'm like, "Well, he's on Fuckboy Island," but it's actually so surprising
Yeah.
because, real smart dude, very calm guy. Like, I was really upping you, genuinely. I was just doing it. I would do it to one of my boys,
Yeah.
whatever it is. And, because I mean all of those things about you. Like, you
Thank you.
really you're someone in LA, whether I see you well, there's times I did dang near see you
Yeah.
every day in West Hollywood
Yeah.
Equinox, but, like, I have nothing but great things. I think you have so much integrity, and
Thank
you're
you.
so calm in business. There's a lot of things that,
I appreciate it.
genuinely but I was saying and I saw her face when I said the Fuckboy Island thing, and I was like, "No, like, trust me, like, don't judge.
Yeah.
Guy is like" she's like, "Is he?" And
Yeah.
I was like, "No, he's
No.
a really
Retired. Retired. Hung up my
insanely
jersey.
great guy."
Thank you.
You wouldn't even have to tell me that for me
Yeah.
to know that, you know? But anyways, yeah, you can't, judge people, but I told you this off the pod, like, you've lived so many different lives,
Yeah.
which is crazy, like, Fuckboy Island, music, age like, you
Yeah.
you definitely George, you're right? You juggle a good amount.
Yeah. I just think it's one of my topics I want to talk to you about, which is
Mhm,
I think as an entrepreneur, you're starting from scratch, right?
mhm,
Like no one handed this to you. Like when you start, like no one just gave you the agency. You
mhm.
started it from scratch.
Yeah.
And so I think sometimes as a man, you have to go through your trial and error
Mhm,
process. And sometimes it requires you trying different things. Like I said in my last podcast, I had like 10 careers
mhm.
before I started what I do now.
Yep.
And it sounds like you had a little bit of a trial and error process with music and then, starting your agency. Um, but I want to shift gears a bit because I think it's, a lot of people see what they see because it's what you show them on social media. They see the cool
Mhm,
campaigns, they see, hanging out with Offset and all these cool people, but a lot of them don't get to see what actually goes on behind the scenes, which
mhm,
is the daily discipline, the
mhm,
workouts, maybe the anxiety, like the
mhm,
stuff that you're dealing with as Sidon.
mhm.
So I want to talk about that to whatever level you're comfortable. Like,
Yep.
what does the personal life of Sidon look like in terms of discipline and managing like, your physical, mental,
Mhm.
spiritual health?
Well, for the last 2 years, so before March of 2024, which is my birthday month, for the 2 years prior to that, my daily routine was 16 to 18-hour workdays of me in the house
Crazy.
and, just piling away at a phone. Whenever I tell everyone, like, I like doing it off the phone more than a laptop, they're like, "You're a psychopath."
Yeah.
But, was really doing that, and you know, the good part and bad part of that is that the pros of that are that you create that crazy level of discipline. So I'm saying no to my friends. I'm saying no to parties. I didn't even, I don't want to say I became transactional with my time, right? And
Yeah, you
where,
have to be to a degree.
where my friends, if you're not a client of mine or whatever it is, I'm not going out with you, right? I don't even want to hang out for those 2 years.
Yeah.
Um, and you know what I realized that March, April, May this year were our biggest months in business. And I hate to be like, I feel so fulfilled on a daily basis without business. I
Mhm.
wake up in the morning and I'm truly grateful. Like I couldn't be more blessed. Is it a big cherry on top when I look in the mirror? I'm like, you're doing it, dude. Like you are doing it right now.
Yeah.
Of course. You want to feel like that about yourself. Like, did I feel like that about myself before? No. When you're partying or drinking a lot, you know what my aunt always tells me is that when you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, that's an easy way to get depressed, right?
Mm.
And but during March, April, and May, I felt like there's something missing. And I'm looking at old pictures of me and my friends where we just go hang out in Malibu on Sundays and not do anything, just like lay down and grass where in the beach, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I miss them and I miss being present with
Mm.
people. And you know what? I realized that everything is going to be okay if you do want to go out on a Saturday or if, because I pushed away relationships, like literally, like my dating life was at an all time low, everything was
Yeah.
at an all time low. And you have to nurture your soul. Right. And that's through look how present we are right now.
Conversation.
Seriously,
Yeah.
I don't want to sound like a guru because I see this on social media all the time, but it's like the stuff's real. I'm actually happy that they're pushing that agenda
I
because it's
agree.
so real. Like,
It is.
thank God they're not pushing all the negative stuff that we all know, whatever it is that doesn't, when you're not, you don't feel good. The bad part about working 16 hours a day on your phone is like your eyes feel heavy, you feel drained. Nicotine can give you similar feelings like that.
Yeah.
And that's like your energy, right? And you're
Mhm.
like, oh, this doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
Where do you feel real high? When you're running, when you're working out, when you're doing all those things. So to answer your question in a nutshell, 2 years of super, super locked in. I'm still very locked in. I was doing things in my business that were counterproductive. So I was operating as the CEO and maybe the lowest level executive
Mm.
at the company, whatever it is. And in my eyes, my best gift of what I can do right now is go get the ideas to grow the business and put up the capital to implement them and manage the team and hire people that are smarter than me. That's why I brag about Jay so much.
Yeah.
And that is what I can do to empower everybody, right? And that's one thing that we've been doing and I've been doing is on the business side, this business talk,
Yeah.
is acquiring as much talent as possible. And that's across the board. That's people to work for C4N2 and people,
Mhm.
to, manage. You could say we're not a management company, but to help run campaigns with. And again, just implement and empower people. I think that's such a big thing. Like, hey, on team meetings, there's no dumb ideas, right? But to answer your question, I'm insanely disciplined. I wake up in between 5:30 and 6:30 every morning and
Mm.
I do the whole 9. There's times I was journaling every single morning. I'm on the go right now. I'm in New York for a month. I haven't been
Mhm.
journaling,
Yeah.
but I did for the last 3 years every single morning, 30 minutes no phone. All of those things they work. I want to get dialed in like you. Uno reverse card. Give me your morning routine and it's gonna make me feel
Yeah.
like a piece of shit.
I have it on my screensaver because I'm obsessed with it.
Mhm.
I talked about it last podcast, but I can give it to you like straight what
Give
it
it to
is.
me.
Hydrate with electrolytes, exaggerated breathing, multivitamin, and ashwagandha supplements.
Mhm.
5 to 7 minutes of sunshine, coffee, journaling, read,
Mhm.
hydro massage, cryotherapy to expose yourself to like a colder temperature,
Mhm.
followed by sauna, so you get both. 1 hour lift, cardio, maybe an ice bath if I
Mhm.
have time, and then shower and pray. That's it in a
How
nutshell.
long is that?
3 hours.
Okay, that's really good for
Yeah.
3 hours. That's
Yeah.
so worth 3
It
hours?
is, bro. You get a lot done and you feel
Oh
amazing.
my, where do you do that?
It doesn't matter where I am. I did it this morning in New York. I
Yeah.
could be in Orange County, but all I need is my journal.
Yeah.
I need a sofa, and I need a Bible, and then I need a gym or somewhere I
Yeah.
could do the ice bath and
Well,
everything like that. But
oh, okay, I heard cryotherapy. These
yeah,
gyms
yeah,
don't have.
cryotherapy. I have a membership at a gym that has like a cryo chamber, so I'll go to that.
Okay, so like
Yeah.
next across from
Yeah.
West Hollywood.
Exactly.
You know what I can say firsthand, let's again Uno reverse to you, is that you are an absolute psychopath. No, and I love it. I'm saying
Yeah.
the things you told me a few months ago, this is the thing. We have these conversations off camera.
Yeah.
What I'm about to say is that we were at dinner and you were like, what does your work day look like? I'm like, dude, I work 16, 18 hours a day. I do. It's never stopped. We're working right now.
It's always on.
It's
Yeah,
always on. If someone
Yeah.
texts me, I'm not gonna answer right now, but
Yeah.
I'm saying this to say, you would be like, "Hey, I'm going rock climbing.
Yeah.
Hey," I've worked out with you in the gym. You're no joke because I asked you, "Was this a hard day or a light day?"
Yeah.
It was brutal on me. You're like, "No, this was light, dude."
Yeah.
And I know it is. You push hard.
Yeah.
You really put your body through hell
I do.
every single morning. I can attest to that routine. You really stand on it. Like you genuinely
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
Like when I would see you in LA, I'm like, how do you run a business? But those things, they go into you being a
Yeah.
better entrepreneur. And we're talking about that because I know that's like entrepreneur TikTok or whatever it
Yeah,
is. But
yeah,
like, screw that. Like you're a better person. You're a better boyfriend. You're a better family member.
Mm.
And yeah, I hope that was a long answer.
No, I think, and I appreciate the kind
Mhm.
words. But I just think it's so important as a man to spend the first part of your day for yourself because
Mhm.
especially when you're in business and for someone like you as an only child, like there's
Mhm.
so much going on, bro. Like you got to manage your relationship with your mother, your
Mhm.
sister, your brothers, your clients, your employees. And I think in order to be there for everybody, you have to be centered,
Mhm.
before you start the day. And so I think that's the way I like to do is just make sure that I'm centered so that I can be intentional about the conversations, the people that I call,
Mhm.
and something that has really, changed the trajectory of my life, just personally and in business, has been, sort of the intuition that I have in
Mhm.
terms of, who to respond to at what time, who to call, the emails to send. Like
Mhm.
all these things almost come from within. And for me, it's God, right? It's my
Mhm.
spirit that speaks to me and says, hey, you should do this. Which has been super, super,
Mhm.
tremendous for me because before it was ego and now it's faith.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, like, how big is faith in your life, and if not, no worries. But has that been a part of your journey?
It is the biggest thing. I'd be lying if I see. I'm gonna sound ignorant now, and now I'm gonna get cooked by the religious community.
Yeah, it's
But
all good.
I am believing God. He's my best friend. He's my boy,
Yeah,
or
I
whatever
won't.
you
This is
want to
fine.
say.
This is a totally fine
He
answer.
is my best friend.
Yeah,
I can't tell you how when people ask me that, it's like, dude, you have no idea how close me and God are.
that's
Seriously.
my dog.
Yeah. Do I follow like organized religion? Like I'm technically raised Hindu. Even my mom didn't raise me on that, right?
Yeah,
But do I believe? I just know this much. Me and God are best friends. And if he wants me to, the same thing, we're like vessels, right? So I believe the same thing where it's like, go with your gut. That's true confidence. When you know something else is guiding you
Mm.
with decision making, with whatever it is. And this is just how I feel right now, and I think I'm gonna feel forever. Fix yourself, help your neighbors, then help strangers. Me, I want to go to animals after that.
yeah.
So that's where I'm
Love
at
that.
with it, right? And
Mm.
but yeah, God is literally. I wake up and thank God every morning. That's the thing. Also, another thing, my mom would give me Hindu prayers like that are like meditation. So they start you know,
Yeah,
and you know, people use that aren't Hindu, right?
for sure.
And I still use that prayer to this day, even though I'm not necessarily praying to a Hindu god or do you see what I'm
Yeah,
saying? I
yeah.
still use that's how I talk to God.
Got it.
But I'm not like, oh, it's you know, yeah, I don't have one choice. I just know it's God.
I love
And
it.
I love that guy. My
He's a
guy.
great guy. He's a
Yeah.
great guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, I love it, dude. There's no right way to pray. Like,
Yeah.
some people pray through meditation. I have friends that listen to rap music, and that's when they feel most in tune with their faith.
Mhm.
Like, it's weird, but
Yeah.
everyone has their way of doing it. Um, have you struggled with anxiety at all? Because you're what I really admire about you is I feel like you're very easygoing. You're always
Mhm.
laughing, but you always you also get so much shit done. So like,
Mhm.
where does that like mindset come from? Of you know, it seems like you don't take things like too seriously.
Mhm.
So where does that come from?
I was literally just not to Uno reverse. I was
Yeah.
thinking the same thing about you before. We're very
Mhm.
different personalities, but
Yeah.
you're super calm.
Yeah.
Um,
I look calm, internally not calm.
okay, that's a good trait though.
Always, actually.
You poker face.
Yeah, poker face for sure.
Um, I would say I'm very I had it I don't know. I had it worse, I guess. I think my dad, hate to air it out. This is just the truth of the matter. I saw him have it, like dealing with different women and didn't
Mm,
deal. And I'm a kid, right? And like, I'm like, oh, I don't think you're supposed to deal with issues like that. I don't think you're supposed to scream. I think being calm is better. And I think that shows, and it really is, right? When you're able to be calm through the storm, but that comes with experiences. So if every time something bad happens and you're just like, I can't even do it.
yeah.
Someone told me the other day, yell at me. And I was like, dude, I'm not that good of an actor.
Yeah.
I literally can't do it.
Yeah.
And that also doesn't mean I'm a pushover and I'm ready to go to war and I'll cut your legs off where we stand and knock you
Yeah.
down the hill. Not you, whoever it is that I'm
Sure.
going to battle with.
Yeah.
But I'm very calm throughout the whole thing. But I don't know. I think just in general, my mom being like, men don't yell. Don't
Mhm.
ever yell.
Yeah.
It's just like telling me that over time and time again. I think I'm just like, okay, that's a weak trait. Don't look weak. Don't flip out because it doesn't do anything. Flipping out about it, it's like when you especially like, I'm not gonna be like the whole come from like when you've dealt with stuff,
Yeah.
it's like, dude, it can't get worse than this. Like, say you're in business or whatever it is, that's like most of a lot of the stress that comes. But when you look at it like a stressful thing, it makes it more stressful. When you
Mhm.
look at it as just
Yeah,
it is what it is,
for sure.
like that's just part of it. If you can't deal with it, and that's where I understand, and I'm not here. There's corporate people that I'm not gonna say I envy in a sense, but like that have very regular jobs that's totally fine. It takes a different beast of like on the weekends you have to work and you have to deal with
Yeah.
problems on a Sunday. I'm dealing with it. It's miraculous how every Sunday something bad pops up or
Yeah.
whatever it is. And I'm just like, why?
Yeah.
But there's so many things where I see they really get to turn off on the weekends. And I'm like,
Mhm.
sometimes I'm like, that's dope.
Yeah.
But not necessarily for me. I love the game. But that's where a lot of my stress comes from, but also just dealing with different things where you're like, it's not that deep, dude. It is
Yeah.
not that serious. I
Mhm.
saw Pharrell say it and I agree. He told a guy like,
I saw the video. So good.
yeah,
Yeah.
what yeah, I don't even want to butcher it, but he's telling the guy it's never that serious unless someone's born or someone dies
Mm.
and then feel the emotions. But if it's like someone pisses you off about something, you're going to get heartbroken, you're going to get backstabbed in business, whatever it is. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, run with it. When I get into not arguments, I don't want to call them like conflicts in business. I feel like I'm going to war after like I I'm not going to say I like it. I like when everything goes insanely smooth, but how often is that? It doesn't always go
Yeah.
smooth.
For sure.
And you're dealing with it, and, I leave, jump in the car, riding in LA, and put on Future, "Streets Made Me a King," and I feel like a gangster.
Yeah.
That's my gangster talk. It's like, "Yeah, I just killed that meeting, dude. I killed that Google Meet and that Zoom
Yeah.
call.
I love that.
You can't tell me
Can't
anything."
tell me shit.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
listening to like puffing on zooties or
But
whatever.
but smart like,
Yeah.
honestly, I think I just did it naturally. I think I was a happy kid, like
Mm.
and to answer your question, I get pissed off. I'm not just
Of
smiling all the
course.
time. You seen that meme or like the of it's like that funny guy or like the guy who's always smiling and then like he's like talking to someone and he's all amped up and then like goes and looks at his phone again. And he's like that's me seriously,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But what can we complain about, dude?
Very blessed.
Yeah,
Very blessed.
that's it.
And you're right, bro. I think it's like it's okay to feel emotions. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to be mad. But I think what makes or the difference in my mind between a
Mhm.
real man and not a real man is how you react.
Yeah,
And I think biggest thing that I've learned in business, bro, is like if something really pisses you off or someone's heated and they're sending you those texts where it's
Mhm.
nonstop and you can feel the emotions,
yeah,
like put the phone down. Like
Yeah.
don't engage in that shit
Yeah.
because you're gonna say something you shouldn't.
yes,
You're gonna and they're gonna win at the end of the
Yeah.
day, right? And so I think that's the biggest lesson, bro. If anyone's listening, personal life, business life, like
Mhm.
if you feel a type of way in that moment, take a breather, fucking put your phone away, revisit it in a couple hours once you're more centered.
72 hours.
There we go.
That's what I think.
I love that.
I think
3 days, yeah.
I saw Drake say it. I think I've seen Gary Vee say it, and it's so true. My aunt tells me it too. Where I think Drake's mom, I could be butchering it again,
Mhm.
tells him, um, like when he would see those crazy headlines of him, whatever. Imagine the magnitude of BS that he deals with, and the mom's like, if it's not gonna matter in 3 years,
Mm,
it shouldn't matter for 3 days. That's
Yeah.
one angle of the 72-hour rule. And then I've also seen Gary Vee say, like, hey, when there's an issue, give it 72 hours. Same thing. On Sunday, I was upset over something within work. I was upset with somebody. And my mind goes to saying crazy things, no matter
course.
how nice I am and kind. And that's the thing when you are not nice, when you're kind. Truthfully, I remember I told a guy in Equinox, you're a nice guy. No, I'm not a nice guy. I'm a kind guy. I'm like,
Yeah.
facts, dude. You,
Big difference.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I gave it 72 hours, and now we're on 24 hours. What is it today? Monday? We're
Mhm.
24 hours in. I'm already not mad at him.
Yeah.
It's fine. And
Yeah.
Wednesday, he said he's smart because he said, let's talk about it Wednesday. He's right. Wednesday, I'm
Yeah.
not even gonna care. I'm not
Exactly.
even gonna want to talk about it anymore. But you still gotta address things sometimes.
For sure. You
Yeah.
have to, dealing with conflict is important.
Yeah.
But finding a resolution is the better part.
Yeah.
I got some rapid fire questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
Describe yourself in 3 words.
Oh my gosh, dude, come on.
Come on, dog.
You see the long
We came prepared
explanations
today.
I
Look at these
give?
notes.
3 words. It's gonna sound like a peace, live, love, laugh tattoo. Like
Just say it, bro.
kind,
I love it.
kind. I would say kind, impulsive, kind, impulsive.
Which goes against everything you just said, but that's fine.
I'm insanely impulsive, but I make decisions like this.
Okay.
So when I make a decision, I stand on it.
That's
though.
good. That's good.
So
Yeah.
kind, impulsive, and we'll go with. Recently, I've been feeling real energetic.
Yeah.
We'll go with
Yeah.
kind, impulsive, and energetic right now.
I love that.
Yeah.
What's your least favorite thing about yourself?
Dude, that's tough.
There's nothing, huh?
I thought we're on self-love. I
Oh,
thought
no,
this whole podcast
My
was
next
about
one is what's your favorite thing? But I want to
What's
start
my
with
least favorite? It could be
Yeah.
anything.
anything. Personal, business, whatever.
Dude, I wouldn't trade myself for anyone else
love
in the
that.
world.
I love
Yeah, but
Great answer.
yeah, that's it. I can't even think of one right now.
I love that. There's only one notice or Sidon.
That's it.
Yeah.
And I hate, you know what? But that's what people do. It's like, is it like, yo, that guy's not humble? Because it's like, you
Mm.
gotta love yourself.
You have to.
But also, I feel sometimes bad. I love those big celebrities that you just smell they don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Adam Sandler.
Doesn't give a fuck.
That's my spirit animal, dude.
For
Like,
sure.
screw all the fancy stuff. That dude is wearing basketball short. Get your drip advice from him.
Real
Guy doesn't
shit.
give a shit. And I love those people. Like, I like Jack Dorsey. Like, he just looks like he doesn't give a shit. Like,
Is that Twitter?
yeah, he was the founder of Twitter. Yeah, he founded Twitter.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. So I can't think of something I want to change.
That's a great
I want a
answer.
4-pack,
That's
dude.
great.
So
You're working on it. You
I'm
got it.
working on it.
It's
That's what I
coming.
want. I want a little 4-pack.
It's coming soon. Also, girls don't really give a fuck. Let's be honest.
That's what I have a girlfriend, but still,
we
it can't
go.
get sloppy.
Do you, no, for sure. You can't. Don't get fat like that guy you used to live with back in Koreatown.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're in a position now? Being 28, like,
Mhm.
because I think something that I've been thinking about a lot more now is, because we're almost 30,
Mhm.
is fatherhood and like having
Yeah.
a kid and bringing someone new into this world. Is that on your mind at all right now, like relationships and fatherhood?
Relationship, like, you know,
Yeah.
it's fatherhood, probably not right now.
Mm,
I'm not it's not on my mind, but, like, I feel like when you get closer to this age, like,